but he is.
But the fact you're quoting him, sir.
Welcome. We are live. This is the Digital Audition Workshop supported by the Re-Entry Committee and Simpatico Theater as part of Philadelphia Theater Week. I am Casey McMillan. I'm a member of the Re-Entry Committee as well as a director here in Philadelphia and the artistic director of Tiny Dynamite. And on this panel, we have experts on digital auditioning, and they're going to share their thoughts with you today. We have Amanda, no, it's not reversed. We have Amanda Schoonover. Amanda is a Barrymore Award-winning actor who has worked in many theaters in Philadelphia, including Arden Theater Company, Theater Exile, and Simpatico. She has worked in film and television opposite Sally Field, Jason Segel, and Felicia Rashad. Ardencia Hall Carambe, PhD, is artistic director and co-founder at Arden Blair Enterprises and Kaleidoscope Cultural Arts Collective. Ardencia also is an associate professor of English and theater at the Community College of Philadelphia and author of the book, The Actor's Toolkit, Beginning Actors' Practical Guide to Acting. Below me, Brian Anthony Wilson is a local theater, film, and TV actor. Brian, in his words, has been fortunate enough to have booked several TV and film projects via self-tape, including Servant on Apple TV, Wu-Tang: An American Saga on Hulu, FBI Most Wanted on CBS, Bloodline, Netflix, Broad City, Comedy Central, Gotham on Fox, and Ocean's 8, a film by Warner Brothers. And last but not least, we have Victoria Goins, an emerging director with a desire to utilize storytelling to reveal the depths of humanity. Recent production credits from Victoria are Westchester University, Arcadia University, the Philadelphia Women's Theater Festival, Jouska Playworks, assisting directing credits at the Arden, and also featured in the 2019 Directors Gathering Wonder Women Jam. As an actor, you have seen Victoria in Sunset Baby recently at Azuka Theater and The Color Purple at Theater Horizon. Thank you all for being here. If there's anything I missed in your little bios, though, I hope you'll share those with us in the course of our conversation. Let's get started. I'm going to throw out some questions. Anyone feel free to answer. I can also kind of popcorn around. And anyone listening today, feel free to shoot your questions into the chat. I will attempt to engage in both deep listening with our speakers and monitor that chat, a skill I've been moderately cultivating in this digital time. So colleagues, let's start sort of with the technicals. What is your technical setup? What is happening on the other side of this StreamYard screen?
I'll start, I guess. Everybody's just smiling. So I'll start. So I've an office that I have converted into a studio. So I have green screen that I could easily take up and down. I have one panel that stays up permanently. And then I added another panel for a shoot that we did because I needed something that kind of looked around, that panned in the shot. Microphone, headset, can't live without my ring light, must have the ring light. And some good if you're also doing your own editing, you need, I think, good sound, good speakers to be able to hear the playback. So I do a lot of editing of my own work as well as listening to students' work and actors when they send stuff into me. So, but my basic setup is a homemade green screen. Great, get some green fabric, put it on your wall. Let it hang. It needs to be relatively straight. And this one, I needed a curve so I could live with that corner right there. But I could also edit that out a little bit. So depending on what you have, but you want it to be relatively straight, hanging on your wall, and some decent lighting and good sound and quiet.
Thanks. Yes, and others?
Go ahead.
Nope.
Mine is actually my dining room wall. I have discovered that
they sell these things that are like blue screen and green screen. You can flip them around.
Mm-hmm.
But I've discovered that the blue screen for me is not good with my skin tone. It actually blows me out because I'm so pale that I like bounce the light off. So I've discovered that using the my gray wall is actually better for me. So it's like the one place in my house where I just can't decorate this wall. So that's what and yeah, the ring light is like the key to like the dewy skin.
Amanda, while you're talking about skin tone, do you find that for filming you have to do a full foundation like you would for stage or properly on screen? Does that feel like a necessary thing?
Yeah, so full disclosure, I rarely wear foundation on stage at all. I don't like it. But for film, yes, I need to wear foundation because film can pick up every little nuance of your face. Any flaw that you have, it's going to magnify it. So yeah, a good foundation and a good powder is like clutch.
Great. Victoria, what's your setup?
So I'm not in my setup now because this room was just painted. So the room across the hall where my husband works, he has the gray. I have a gray wall very similar to Amanda that I use. I use a ring light. And I typically, for decent sound quality, I have a pair of AirPods and I'll just maneuver my hair to hide my AirPods. So it picks up pretty decent sound quality. And for camera recording, I actually just use my phone. And I do typically a lot of editing as well on my self tapes. And a little bit different, I don't typically wear, I don't wear foundation when I'm doing film work. I'm the opposite. I have to wear makeup when I do theatrical work. When I'm on stage, I have to put on a ton of foundation. But for film, I'll do a little bit of, I'll brighten up my eyes with maybe a little mascara, a little bit of concealer, and a little powder. I find that if I put on foundation, I may look a little bit older than I'm intending to play.
Great. And Brian, ageless Brian, what's your setup?
Right. I have nothing so sophisticated. I use my phone, Samsung, like B said. Well, not that you said Samsung, but I have a Samsung. And
I'm sorry, Brian, to interrupt you. I'm having trouble hearing you. I don't know if other folks are as well.
Is this better?
That's better.
Sorry, I got to get on mic. Yeah, so I don't have anything as sophisticated as just a, and I'm not in that space now. It's in the family room. It's like a beige curtain that's behind us. And I try to shoot, if I have enough time in natural daylight. I find that's the best light for me. I do have a ring light, but I have not set it up yet because, again, I try to shoot during the day when I have natural light. And I just use the sound on the phone. So, but I commend everything everybody else said, to each his own. And they do have a lot of, kits and stuff out there now. I know somebody's profiting because I've seen a couple of them. But, yeah. And I probably need to do something a bit more sophisticated. But that's, yeah, mine is pretty low-key.
Well, I guess the question is, I don't know, do you? Because, you've had a lot of success booking things from self-tape. I guess that's my follow-up question for everyone is what I'm hearing, it sounds like, is that this doesn't have to be an expensive proposition, right? Natural light. Does anyone have any kind of particular advice around that? Like, I'm hearing use your phone, use natural light, use a space in your house, buy some green fabric at the store. Anything to add to that about like cost-effective ways to get yourself a decent setup?
Yes to all of that, Casey. Like the thing with a successful self-tape is you just don't want other things to be upstaging you. Mm-hmm. But no matter how much money you spend, your talent's going to be the same. So like what you really need is good talent and for everything else to just be in the background.
Please, as a person watching those tapes, please have the talent. But anyway, I'll let that be. But I will say, if you find yourself in need of light, the dollar store is an amazing place. You can go to the dollar store, you can buy little ring lights that use batteries, and you can actually and then go into the arts and crafts section, the gardening section, and get a styrofoam ring and hot glue them to the styrofoam ring, and then make your own ring light. Or if you have some wall space, put them up on the walls in front where you're going to be shooting, and that light works just as well.
I love that. That's terrific. Yeah. I have friends on social media, though, who have gone, well, as you can see, I don't have a ring light. I have the worst. I have light coming from behind me. I'm rarely on camera, right? But I do have friends on social media who have really strong opinions on ring light brands or microphones. Does anyone have any favorites if we're not crafty enough to make our own?
I will say I have a cheap one. It's I have it right here. It's by Sunpack. What I will say about this is if you're gonna get a cheaper one from Best Buy or wherever you're gonna go, that don't leave it plugged in because they're cheap for a reason and they will burn out. So like that's like the thing that I would keep in mind. Do I have a particular brand? No. I have a friend who's a photographer. Of course, she spent a lot of money on a ring light. I just don't find it super duper necessary for the commercials that I'm typically sending self-tapes in for. I think their biggest concern is like, can they hear me and can they see me? And is it what I'm looking for? Is the person talented and what I'm looking for? Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thanks. Well, let me follow up on that. Actors, let's begin with you. What do you think makes a successful self-tape audition? I'm hearing bring the talent, which I'm not an expert on self-taping, but as a director, also, to me, that translates as preparedness and confidence, right? What do you think makes a successful digital audition?
I'll go. I mean, I guess it's a little trick of my trade, but sometimes if it costs, I'll try to do which is probably, I don't know if it's probably yay or nay, but I'll try to do the actual action. Like if there's a door opening, I've done that when I shot there, and I shot. I didn't get this one, but for Girls, the HBO show with Lena Dunham, I shot a cop roll, in the car, and then I did the actual action, which I try to do sometime if I have the light, obviously, and the circumstance. I mean, outside is tricky because, especially in Jersey, with birds and other little creatures making noise. But I'll try to do the actual action that shows what's going on, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, and some people probably have. I think some casting directors may have poo-pooed that, so that's a tricky thing. But again, I think we'll all agree that we try to stand out because there's hundreds sometimes, of people auditioning for the same thing you're auditioning for. So,
yeah. Victoria, Amanda, anything to add to that?
I would say wait to shoot until you are ready. And by that, I mean, like, for film auditions, I think it's imperative that you are off book. You just shouldn't have that piece of paper in your hand. They want to see that you can do it. It's a little different than theater, right? Like theater, you can kind of be in between. Sometimes they don't like when you're off book, but like for film work, they need to know that you can learn your lines. And they need to know that it can sound natural and that you're, make a good, strong choice. Be authentic to yourself. That's what.
Yeah, thanks, Victoria.
I think she froze.
Oh no!
No.
Hopefully we'll get her. Of course, Victoria would freeze in the most elegant pose imaginable.
Right, exactly.
Like with an
She
eyelid
did
half open. Will get me back. So okay, Ardent, let me follow up with you as a director. What for you makes a successful? What makes a successful audition as an auditor, as a viewer?
The same things that the actors spoke of. I want to be able to hear them. I want to be able to see them. I want them off book. I don't want to sit there and watch you have to stumble your way through the piece. I want you to be comfortable with the character that you're playing. I want to know that you can memorize lines and that you are comfortable in your body, that you move well. And that, you know, whatever piece you've chosen, that you can handle the medium, that you can handle the text. I want good lighting. I want to be able to see the face. I want to be able to hear the voice. All of those things, everything you would want to see in a brilliant actor on stage. I kind of want to see those things in an audition. It's you're giving me that glimpse of, okay, here are the possibilities, and it's that 2 minutes that you have to sell me in that. This is it. And so you want to make it spectacular, and you want it to have, and then I use that word spectacular. I know it's not the final a final performance per se, but it is an important performance that could lead you to something else, that shows me that you have promise, that shows me that you can continue to grow in a part, even if you may not have it down. So I'm looking for all those things. She's unfrozen. Yay!
Yay!
So weird. All of you froze. I couldn't hear anything. I was like, what's happening? Sorry, apologies.
No, don't. I mean, it just feels like a timely reminder that we have all been struggling. That first time in any of our work lives, our home internet connection and all these other factors have bearing on our work. We're our own technical crews. It's very challenging. Yeah, just last night I was on screen introducing a piece, and my cat, who had literally been asleep for 2 hours, just comes bounding up. The one time I don't put him in a room, it's like we're all working from home. So, Ardenti, I want to follow up on. You were saying, I want to see if they can move. Tell me what that means to you in this little box for an actor to move. What advice would you have about how to show a body in motion in a space this size?
In a space, I want to be able to see you gesture. To understand it in a space this size, you're gesturing below your hips is not going to cut it. You have to be aware of the space and who you're playing to. So you have to gesture above your waist. As I was telling some actors the other day, think of your boobs as being the kind of guideline, you know, in Zoom world. So your gestures are going to be right up in here. Depending on your camera. If your camera distance is a little bit further back and you're shooting from the waist up, you can give us a little bit more. We could actually see you work around a chair, you know, that kind of thing. Just depends upon how you set up that camera work. Okay.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Victoria, what do you look for as a director in a self-tape audition, in a digital audition?
I've worked with a lot of college students, so I'm typically looking, I want to be able to hear them and see them. That's my biggest thing. I hate when I get a video and the sound is terrible. I agree. I want to be able to see how, you know, I want to see how if their awareness of the space is important, how aware are they of the camera. And I think I'm also looking for a sense of ease in front of the camera as well. There are sometimes, especially stage actors, have a tendency to do just as much on stage as they would on camera. And you so like cut it by half. Like you don't have to do as much on camera because, as Amanda was saying, the camera picks up so much of your face that you don't have to show as much with your voice or your face. And I think that some actors, they don't necessarily have the sense of trust that the camera is picking up everything that they're putting down.
Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to cultivate that in practice?
Record yourself every single day if you're not used to it. I tell my students, like, take your phone. I mean, you guys are on your phone all the time. Take your phone and just talk to the camera, don't perform to the camera, talk to the camera, and then play it back. I mean, it took me years to be able to watch myself, which is so silly because I'm sending in self-tapes all the time, but it took me years to be able to comfortably watch myself, but it probably because I was more worried about cultivating a performance than I was cultivating a sense of ease, a sense of humanity in front of the camera. So that's what I tell them to do. Just wake up. The best time, wake up early in the morning. If you're not an early riser, whatever, just when you wake up, turn your camera on and just film yourself. Hi, today is whatever day, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Terrific. Thank you. So, all right. So I have heard and often given advice to actors that when you walk into a room to an audition, be prepared, be available, give everything you can, leave it on the table, and then walk out and forget about it, right? That every chance to do our work, even if it's 10 minutes at a time, is valuable and is our work as artists. But the opposite can be true, right? When self-taping, how do you stop yourself from doing it 50 times and making yourself, driving yourself crazy?
What side of the table I'm on this time?
Well, as an editor too, right? How do, I don't know, I guess the question is, like, can we bring that sense of leave it on the table and let it go to this medium? And if so, how?
I think part of it depends on when you need to get it done, because a lot of these things usually have timelines that are quick. It might be a quick turnaround. So if I have to do it when my wife's available to tape something, sometimes I have to do it by myself, and I have to do 2-3 other voices, record that, and then practice that. So I may run out of time. I've had a thing where I had to get something done. Basically, I had a half hour, then I had to have time to upload it, because a lot of these things take a long time to upload. So I think the time frame dictates when that is, and also I think you get a sense. I mean, I know as an actor, especially doing film and TV, I usually need a couple of takes to warm up. Sometimes you don't have that whatever that word is. Luxury. Thank you, Doc.
You're welcome, darling.
And so it's like, hey, this is it. I mean, and sometimes it just gets to, I mean, like, I don't think I'm too many, but I've had to do things like maybe 10 times, a couple times, and it's just like, you know what, that's it. Because sometimes I've had to do things at 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's like, hey, I got to get to bed. I got to be up next, tomorrow for something else. So I think the time dictates it a lot of time. But you got to have once you've been doing a bunch of them, you kind of feel when you're giving your best, and that's that's what it is. Sometimes it's the first take, rarely, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And add to that, yeah, Amanda, go ahead.
Agree with all of that, and I also two things in case I forget. I try to stick to what would actually happen if you were in the room with a casting director. When normally, if you're in the room auditioning for a film, you get 2 times to do it, maybe 3, and that's it. They give you an adjustment, you do it, and that's it. So you got to, like, in my opinion, you got to try and get it in about 3 takes. I also have an added luxury that my fiance is a very talented theater maker. And he is very good about being like, because he'll read with me and he'll be like, and so I know that that's the take. Like, and we got it and that's it. Like, and we just, I use him a lot as a barometer, because he knows when I'm in the moment, when I'm funny. Like, if I make him laugh, I'm like, that's the take. And call it a day. Like,
Yeah. Ardentia, anything to add to that?
I'm going to agree with Amanda. The 3-strike rule, three times, because I think even though we're in this age of COVID, we don't want to lose our skill. And so one day we're going to have to go back out and start auditioning again in the same. So you want to get used to being in that mode and keeping your skills at that level. As a director, I would prefer you to shoot it 50 times before you send me something that I may pull my hair out at. But but I would I would tell anybody, if you are prepared before you get in front of the camera, it shouldn't take you that many takes. If you know your lines, you have rehearsed it. Even though you're self-tape, you still have to go through that process of rehearsal and all of that and everything that entails, and then shoot. And treat it like as if it was a live audition. And hit it, because otherwise, I could do it again. Oh, I could do it again. Oh, I could do it again. And you get caught into that cycle of knowing that you can erase and keep doing it. And it's like, no, get into that mindset,
You also start second guessing your choices. Just like, and then you get like, I don't know what to do. Like,
Yeah. I want to take that moment from this, but I want to take that. And we don't have the luxury to do that. It sounds like a practice to be cultivated to me. Yeah. It sounds like it requires some discipline to hold yourself to those few takes.
And working, I only have a BFA in acting, but in doing that, even that process, we had to take a class just on auditioning. This is the process of going through audition, whether it's for film or for stage. And you always had to come in prepared, ready to audition. Here's monologue. We're doing this one, do this one, this one. So yeah, it's a practice, a skill all within itself,
I would say that perhaps since the era of self-tape auditions, I have noticed an uptick in actors who are less familiar with their material. So I might add that in as a caution too of don't rely on the luxury of, I can do it many more times if I don't hit it this time. Do the same level of preparation as you would if you were going to be in person. Does that feel right to you?
Mm-hmm.
Very much so.
Yeah. Great. I want to. Mandy brought up having her fiance Jay as an off-camera reader. What advice can you give to folks who are pulling in partners and parents and roommates to hold pages off camera and read in? Help us out.
It's very tricky because sometimes, and I mean, my wife's a great reader. And but also her time is precious. She's a professor, and that kind of, like you said with Jay, that's part of that timing thing too. It's like, all right, dude, you got like 3 takes and that's it. But because I got to get back to class. But also the other tricky thing is sometimes there are scenes that I read for where my wife will have more lines than me. And so I'm reacting, which is also, what we're doing as actors. And I gotta say, honey, you gotta keep that pace up, because I'm sitting here, I'm reacting to what you're doing, and I can't look like, to every little thing you're doing. And sometimes the pace isn't right, especially if it's a comedy. That pace is like bam, 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 bam. So it's very tricky. And the other tricky thing is because, and I don't know if you find this, Amanda or V, when you're reading against your husband, but there's also little psychological things going on, because my wife has seen pretty much everything I've done, and she'll comment sometimes with her eyes or even the way that she reads something, and then that can throw me off, so it takes me out of the scene. So it's very tricky reading with somebody that you know and that knows you so well, and it can play little psychological tricks with you too. So yeah, I mean, and sometimes you don't have a whole lot of time with the script, so it's like, and then she'll stop. It's like, you said that word wrong. It's like, that's all right. Let's get through this thing. But it can be very tricky. it's a lot of stuff going on, which yeah. But I really appreciate what Amanda and Doc were saying about, because I didn't think about that, making it more like the audition room, because I had already been used to all of this before the pandemic, because like I said, I was, I don't know if I said that, but I was 0 for the whole year of 2018 and 2019 of in-person New York auditions. Didn't get any of them, but I booked stuff through self-tapes. And sometimes the manager I was with was, unbeknownst to me, would say, oh, if it was a two-line co-star or something, he might say, oh, Brian has to, a 5 hour, round trip to New York and it cost a lot. Can you put it on tape? So I was already kind of ahead of the curve with that, and but not booking anything in front of people. So I was like, whatever. I like this form of auditioning.
See, I was the opposite for a while. Like when I first started self-taping, I hated it. I'm the kind of person that, like, I thrive on walking that tightrope like, I need the nerves to do a good job. Like, I need the nerves. And so until Jay and I really got the routine down, like at first when he was helping me, he didn't want to give me any direction because he didn't want to offend me. And I'm like, I need direction. Like, I thrive on direction. And as soon as he would like start chiming in, and I'd be like, oh, I have an idea. Oh, I can do that. And then I started actually booking jobs because there was that like crackle of like trying to do the achievable action, And so now we've got like a whole routine. I mean, we got a whole routine. And we both enjoy it, and it's a lot of fun. Like, the more fun we made it, the higher my chances are of actually booking the job. So I've been booking quite a bit lately because he and I are like, yeah, we got this. We got this.
Yeah. So one of my takeaways from that is in post-pandemic times, everyone out there, hire Jay Hernandez to film and read with it.
100%. And he comes at $50 an hour, and I get 10% commission.
I wanted to say that at Kaleidoscope KCAC, we've been using self-tape. That's the only way we audition at this point for our theater company. And so for the past 5 years, people have been sending in self-tapes to us. We've been spending quite a lot of that time teaching people how to create self-tapes in that process. So we find it very helpful for theater. It eliminates, because my time is busy, so it allows me to be able to watch them at my leisure along with everybody else. And since I consider part of my job even with my own theater company is training other directors, younger directors than myself. Let's look at these. Let's talk about what's happening in these. So I'm able to utilize them for that as well. So it also gets them to watch the first round, and then they send me the second round. So I don't have to watch the first round. Yeah. And I get to watch the juicy parts. So it's really, I think it's something that's going to stay with us even after pandemic. I think we're going to be finding it moving more towards live theater as well. I think live theater is going to start utilizing it a lot more. So I think it's here to stay.
Ardentia, is it fair to say then that you aren't holding actors accountable, knowing that many of us don't have experience self-taping? You're not holding us accountable to be perfect at it?
Oh no, I don't. And I mean, and the way our company works, in many cases, we consider ourselves a stepping stone for people who are just trying to get into the theater, people who are trying to learn the craft itself. So we've worked with Bob, we work with experienced actors such as Bob, and we've worked with people who have very little experience. I think that's part of our mission. Is to help people who want to be introduced to theater, who may not want to go through the academic route, or who's going through the academic route but wants more and wants to get their feet wet in professional theater. So we see people from all ranges. So no prejudice. Come in, bring what you have, and we go work with it. Promise you, we go work with it.
Yeah, I hope actors will hear that and free themselves from the pressure of having to be perfect. Now would be a great time. What is your Ardencia? What is your website for folks who are really excited about the idea of sending in auditions to you?
You could send it to www.arden-blair.com.
Great. Thanks.
I'm sure Courtney will put it in the chat because that's what she does.
Courtney's on point. Hey, Court.
Hey, love my team. She go keep me straight.
You have a great team, Doc.
I am blessed.
And Casey, perfect is just not interesting anyway. So I'm just gonna perfect is kind of boring. So I just want to put that out there too.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great thing to add. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes those happy accidents get you the job sometimes, and I leave them in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. True. So my next question is, I don't know, it's a pandemic year. I'm looking for silver linings. I'm starting to hear them already of right, Brian doesn't have to travel all the way to New York. Our Dencia can watch digital auditions whenever she's available. Give me some other silver linings. Victoria, do you have any? What's anything better about this format than auditioning in person?
I mean, when I was doing directing virtual productions, I was able to work places where I may not have been able to work, like Westchester and Arcadia. So they were able to, and not that I wouldn't have been able to work, but it would have been a crazy commute, and I was able to connect with. I was able to connect with folks. So I think that is a silver lining. I also think that all of the time that we've had should have given people the opportunity to work on their craft more. And just really hone in on things that maybe they're not necessarily comfortable with, or things that they want to get better at, or things that they want to explore more. So I take the time and the ability to kind of be on a retreat, is what I've tried to call it, instead of a quarantine, to learn. Yeah.
I love that. I'm stealing that.
Me too.
I'm on a retreat.
On a retreat.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it.
So for anyone who might be watching this recording and thinking, oh God, I've just had a trauma reaction for a year, I've not been preparing anything. What advice would you give as actors and directors of, I don't know, rebuilding our skill set as the world starts to open, we start to feel more hopeful? Brian, what do you think?
Well, I mean, and I've been blessed to work on a couple of productions with KCAC, and also with Victoria as a director, and Amanda and I are going to do a film together. But it's just,
look at this group, y'all. Sorry.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, yeah, and Victoria played my niece in another film. Yeah, it's all connected. But oh damn, I lost my train of thought.
Mm-hmm.
What was the question you asked me? I'm sorry.
How to start rebuilding skills?
Oh, yeah, I'm saying what helped me and sustained me during the pandemic was doing these readings, like working with Victoria, working with Doc, and so take part in those, seek those out. There's a bunch of stuff that I've seen, this I know that's jumping the gun as far as where do we get auditions from, but stay connected on Facebook and stuff, and be proactive, reach out. If you see some people doing some readings, maybe say, hey, you got anything else coming up? Take that opportunity to do something, even if it's virtual. I mean, I've heard some people say, I don't like doing virtual, but it's like work is work, and you're working on your craft, and this is the new normal for a while. Some things, like you say, Doc, may never go back to that. So work on your craft whenever and however you can. If it's a reading, if it's even if it's just virtual, that keeps you sharp. And you got to work. You have to keep your skills sharp. Even if it's doing, like V says, which is great, waking up and putting yourself on tape. And I don't understand, and I've heard, some of these Hollywood actors saying, I'll never watch anything that I do. I mean, I don't like seeing my chunky self on tape either, but I gotta watch. No, but I'm serious though. But I gotta watch and see, what it is I did, what I could have done better, what worked, what didn't work, but you got to do that. You got to watch yourself, especially for film and TV, because a lot of times in our kind of level, it's like, co-star. I mean, even some guest star stuff I've done, they're not even concentrating on you. You're kind of on your own auspices. So, work on those things and also have that confidence too.
Yeah, I mean, it's Theater Week. There are dozens of theater companies who have postings on Theater Philadelphia's webpage right now of events that are happening. These are folks who are working digitally or working outside. These are the folks to reach out to and see if they have anything coming up next. I think that's brilliant advice. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. So, yeah, actors, where are you submitting? Yeah, Ardencia, please.
And I was going to say, considering that a lot of theaters, because we don't know what's happening in 21, 22, many theaters have already decided just to be virtual for the next year. So, we're still going to be going through this same process of online vetting. And so it behooves you. And I think this is also an opportunity for people to think beyond the box when it comes to acting. I think people, if you haven't delved into voice acting, here's another perspective. You're already gaining the equipment, so it doesn't have to always be about you being physically seen. So it opens up that avenue. Now that you have the equipment in your house, you can start putting out vocal auditions as well.
Great, thank you. For sure.
One of the things I've been doing, this is going to sound like so silly. I just have two things, but one of the things I've been doing that's not silly is I've been trying to generate my own work as usual. I mean, I do that as a theater actor too, but I was like, wow, why don't I try doing that as a film actor as well? So I've been working with a writing partner, David Nicholas. We wrote a short film. We're going to shoot it this weekend. We started our own little production company to see if we can sort of do that. We're just going to do the darn thing. Yeah. The other thing I've been doing, because it was shocking to me just a month ago, it occurred to me that right before pandemic, I did a one-woman show where I talk for 45 minutes straight, just talking, right? And I was in the car about a month ago, and I started singing to the radio, and I'm like, oh my God, I have no breath support whatsoever. So I've been starting to sing in the car every time I'm in there, just getting it out and belting it out to try and work those muscles again, so that when we do get out of pandemic, that I'm ready to rumble. Because I think if I didn't, I would pass out on the first show.
I know that is so true, Mandy. I was thinking about, because the last time I was on stage was a one-man show, which is is two 40-minute acts, and it's I don't have the stamina to do that now.
No way.
And I'm old. You need to build that up. I mean, that's a whole thing. You're right. I have no breath control or nothing like that. That's a good idea. I mean, I sing in the car anyway, but.
Yeah, but you got to go for it. You got to do your best karaoke performance in the car.
It's such a good reminder, right? That no matter what level we are in our career, no matter what exploration we're in our craft, that continuing to hone, continuing to work on our skills, keep ourselves in shape, whatever that means to us, it's important at every stage. Yeah. I personally, who have not worked out in a year, have replaced physical activity with leaning forward in the Zoom to make my head look bigger relative to the rest of my body. That plus the lean that takes up the nasal labial fold. When we're back in person, I don't know what I'm gonna do. All my friends yeah, look how narrow my shoulders look. I'm gonna be a mess.
Hey, you look great. But I'm gonna answer the other question you had about what we submit. It's probably we all do the same things, but I submit via backstage.com, castingnetworks.com, which Reinhardt makes you want to be a part of too, as well as actorsaccess.com. Those are the top three. There's some more though, but that's the three I use a lot. So.
Yep.
You had also asked a question about things that people can do in the process while they're just kind of waiting for things. Read plays, and read plays aloud, and play all the characters. And I know that sounds weird, and do it in your bathroom. Sit somewhere where you have good acoustics so you can hear yourself, so you get used to hearing your own voice. By playing different characters, change it up, try different parts of your range, work on those kind of things, keep your vocal cords loose, working on your breathing, making sure you're breathing from your diaphragm, watch your diction. We get very lazy when we're not working on stage, and our diction and articulation has a tendency to falter with that. So go into the bathroom and just read some Shakespeare aloud and have a great time doing it. And
That's
practice.
Advice. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If you, freelance artists out there, if you don't know about the new Play Exchange, it is $10 a year for individual members, and you have access to a searchable database of thousands of plays.
Oh.
A lot of them new, a lot of them untested audition material that auditors are not going to hear 6 of in one day. So highly recommend that. $10 a year, you get access. You can search a database of, literally thousands of new American and international plays.
I did not know
That's
about
how I found
that.
Natural Shocks.
Please share that resource.
Yeah,
What'd you say?
it's a new Play Exchange. Yeah, it's an incredible resource.
Oh.
Yeah, saying that's how I found Natural Shocks.
There you go.
Cool.
Simpatico.
And yeah, I commend Mandy for make your own opportunity. I was supposed to I had a short film I was working on that never really started writing it, but write your own stuff too. That's how a lot of people like. Who's a young lady now who's a multimillionaire? Oh God, Insecure, the black.
Issa Rae.
Yeah, Issa Rae. I mean, look at that. I mean, she's amazing. But somebody was asking about, and I know this is not my forte, so about editing video resources, because that's one thing I don't know how to do. So usually what I tape is what I send in. I don't have the editing skills to cut and do all that stuff, but I know somebody here does, so please answer that question for somebody.
I use anything that's free. So I use iMovie on my phone, and there's also this wonky website called Kapwing, Kapwing, Kapwing. And you can upload videos and edit them for free. You might have a little watermark at the very bottom of your video. It really shouldn't. It doesn't draw the eye, though. But you can, let's say you don't have editing software on your computer. That is a website that allows you to edit a project for free, and it's super duper user friendly. You can do as much as rotating videos, adding audio on top of it. I know Brian was talking about recording voice, doing other voices gives you the opportunity to kind of record the voice and put it, kind of put it in. So Kapwing, I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah. Can you spell it again, please?
Kapwing.com. And it's really, really user friendly because I'm not the best editor, but iPhone is helpful because I'm recording on my phone. So I'm able to kind of it's annoying, but I can use my fingers to edit on iMovie. But Kapwing gives you way more features if you're doing something a little more extra. And I wanted to say too, you asked about people reading with you. Brian's excellent. He'll do other voices. Sometimes I just won't. I'll put the other person's lines in a teleprompter so that I can level it at eye level and just kind of react to it, because Brian's wife, my husband he works in tech, so I don't have immediate access to him all the time. So, but the one note I will give readers is like, you don't want to be as loud as the person who's auditioning, like ever. Like if you almost like talk like at a whisper at this level, because the mic is going to pick you up really, really loud, and you'll end up being louder than the person who's in front of the camera because you're typically standing behind it.
Mm-hmm.
That's great advice. Yeah. Victoria Ardencia, what's your preference? That the reader is sort of neutral, or do you want to hear the off camera voice making sort of artistic choices as well? Do you have a preference?
I like them to be neutral because I want to focus on the person in camera. And I've had to tell my husband, like, it's okay. You can give me a little less. Like, pull back, babe. And he's really, and so I tell, and if anyone else is reading for me, I'm like, I just need you to read the lines. Like, I'll react, you read. I like to stay a little neutral.
It's like that SNL skit where the people are playing background and they're doing everything you're not supposed to be doing.
Right.
Yeah. Drawing attention to themselves.
Right.
Not that my wife or your husband's doing that, but yeah,
I actually had someone who sent in an audition tape and they had the other person, and I called in their friend.
That's cold. I love that moment of silence, like, oh shit.
Well, find a reader you trust, right?
Hey, that's what happened. I just recently put something on tape for Jitney, and my wife it was a son between Becker and his son, and the director was like, "Who was that young man you had reading with against you?" I was like, "That was my wife." She doesn't have a kind of deep voice though.
They were no longer friends.
But Casey, I have another editing program. So I use something called Wondershare. Something that Jay I don't know if you've ever seen his videos that he makes on YouTube, but he's like a editing genius.
Yeah.
I'm not. Like,
what's it called again, Mandy?
It's called Wondershare. And so he taught me how to do this. I think it's just like an app or something that you download for free. And so I'm like super Gen X, did not grow up with computers. It makes me look like I know what I'm doing. And I find that it's really easy to use. You can even do the little fade in, fade out, like it looks like just a little bit fancy,
Ooh, nice.
And I find it really easy to use. So if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Amazing.
I would also recommend Video Leap. Video Leap. It's another one that's really good. Since the theaters have been closed, we have primarily been moved to virtual. So our last two shows were, and when I'm off here, I'm back into the editing process for our show that's opening for Theater Week, First Cousins. And so one of my editors is actually edited part of the film through Video Leap. And so we're actually using a combination of editing software from Premiere Pro to iMovie to Video Leap. So we're going from free to expensive, that whole range, but putting it all together to create a film or to create theater in this realm, which is something I never really wanted to do, but now I'm kind of hooked. Yeah. And so
Cool. Well, we're coming to the end of the hour. And I reached out to folks on this panel to see if anyone wanted to volunteer to submit to us something that they have self-taped. So thanks, Brian. Brian has a video of an audition that he's going to share with us that I think is also a really great audition, a really great example of off-camera listening and reading in. Brian, you want to say anything to set this up for us? Oh, you're muted, friend.
There you go. I shot it in our kitchen because that was kind of the setup. I mean, when we shot it, it was in the living room. I mean, on CBS, but Yeah, but I think I sent Allie my self tape and well, it's an edited version somebody did of me of the actual shoot. So
Great, thanks. Let's take a look.
Is this the only computer Eva had?
Yeah, you can take it. It's fine.
This doesn't make any sense. She had her problems, but never in a million years did I think she'd hurt anybody. Your daughter was quite the achiever.
Yes, she was. President of her senior class. Straight A student. Graduated college cum laude. Got into every law school she applied to. But she picked Rutgers.
Was her dream to be a lawyer? No, it was his dream.
And I don't apologize for it. Eva could have been great. She should have been great.
We didn't see record of a law license.
She never graduated. Third year, she just burnt out, started spiraling. Got in with the wrong crowd. That's when the drugs started.
She was under a lot of pressure.
Pressure is a privilege. Eva had brains and talent and drive. I was hard on her because I knew what she was capable of. I thought she'd snap out of it when she had Isaac, but the partying never stopped. We had to go to court to get custody of him for his own safety.
How does father feel about that?
He wasn't in the picture. All that lowlife cared about was getting his next fix.
Mijo, go to your room, okay? She's been doing well. She moved back in with us. She was spending time with Isaac. Last week, out of nowhere, something changed. It's like she was back to her old ways, withdrawn and snappy. She's been locked in her room ever since. Was she using again?
I have my suspicions. I told her to go to NA, but she said no.
Do you have a 9mm, a Beretta?
I have a permit and a right to protect my family.
I understand.
I keep it in a lockbox because of Isaac.
Smart. Can we see it, please?
I don't understand. I never gave her the combination.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Other experts in this room, anyone want to sort of point out, is there anything we haven't covered about good practice that we see in Brian's audition?
Number one, like, my hat is off to you because that was a whole lot of dialogue for an audition.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap.
oh yeah, well I mean it's easier when the writing's good too. That
Yeah,
always helps.
for sure.
Mhm.
But what made Brian's audition there so compelling was the way he listened, and he was always thinking. Like, so you could always see that his eyes were active. That's something that you don't do. You don't show, you do, right? So he was always thinking and listening. So he could be still, and we were still like, oh, right? Like something's happening. So that's what I saw. I would definitely cast Brian in whatever part that was.
Oh, well, thank you.
I agree with Amanda. You don't want, as an actor, you don't want to turn it off as soon as you say your line. You want to show the director that you could sustain the character through the process.
Mm-hmm.
So active listening, active active watching, just the whole process, being in, and I hate to being in that moment, as you know, as they say. So and that was great. You could see every emotion going across Brian's face, even when he wasn't talking. You could see what was going on in his mind. I love the slight accent too, Brian. It's nice, just enough for the director to know that, oh, there's a possibility of me being able to play with that a little bit.
Yeah, well, he was Hernandez at some point, but then they changed it. They changed the character. He wasn't Latino, but I think the daughter was. I mean, so I guess but they changed it on set. So
I appreciated the simplicity of the prop and how its role and like your use of it in the piece, right? Like we obviously needed a you didn't exit frame to go get a thing to come and sit back down. It was already right there. There was the moment of the reaction, and it was really simple. And I think that that's kind of what we were talking about like not needing to overplay things, because it's an audition video. No one's expecting you to have the setup of what the set is actually going to be in your home. They just want to see that you know what's going on in the writing, and that you can react to a thing, or to, you know, the lack of a thing, which was the lack of the gun in the box.
Great.
I wanted to share something because it's something I recently did. I can't really talk about it yet, but I got on set. I mean, I was hired for it. That was from a self-tape, but I mean, everything's from a self-tape now. But they they kept changing out my props, and it was throwing me because it's so, because camera is camera, and they can see all this stuff. And I was having, it was like I had to gather up like 3 or 4 things, and then finally they figured out that it was not making sense, and they cut it. But it just kind of threw me, and it was messing up my, and just the little movements that you do, on an actual TV set, that it just, I was trying to motivate it, but the director wanted something, and anyway, that stuff can get in the way sometime, and yeah, I find less is more and simpler is better. But I was helping somebody. I was trying to coach somebody with a thing. He had an action thing, which I wasn't sure how to do, because I told him to just keep it simple, because I've had to do one of those before. But yeah, I had to drop off a camera or whatever, and it's tricky when they want to see action when you're by yourself, and you can't, fight yourself. But I mean, I guess you can if you want to do some poltergeist stuff. But that's a lot trickier when it is action. I think it's a whole lot simpler when it is, you're looking at the eyes, you're looking at the, or listening or whatever. So yeah, our jobs are hard, damn it.
Our jobs are hard, damn it. Feels like a pretty good place to end. Yeah, so to wrap up, simpler is better. Our jobs are hard, damn it. Directors want to see you move. They want to see you prepared. They want you to be confident, and doesn't take a lot of money. Don't wait for anyone's permission to do your work. Does that about sum it up, colleagues? Great. Thank you so much for this time today. Thank you for sharing your expertise. And happy Theater Week, everybody.
Thanthink you for having us.
Thank you.
Doc, let me know about that. I didn't realize you guys were doing a show. I definitely want to see that.
Okay. Yeah, I think I sent you an invitation this morning. We have an event.
Oh.
Courtney just put up an events page, but yeah, I will make sure you get the info. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe, y'all.